All right, everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started. It is with great pleasure that I introduce you to the first ever official Doug Stark Roast. All right, with me and along with Doug, we have three very somewhat distinguished guests. We have Bob Carter, Bob Schmidt, and Craig Kinnison. Okay, so the way this is going to work, the Bobs and Craig are going to take their time coming up here, and they're going to say a few maybe kind words to Doug, and probably not. And Doug will have a chance at a rebuttal as well. So, all right. So our first roaster of the evening is Bob Carter. Now I had to do a little bit of research on Bob. I was told that he is a Colorado Buffaloes fan. Boo. Okay. So much like the actual buffalo, most of us thought such a thing was near extinction. Now, I remember growing up in the 80s and 90s, my dad always told me that Colorado fans were the worst. He said that when you went to Boulder, your tires might get slashed. They would throw snowballs at you with special ingredients mixed in. And now we know that the culprit of such dastardly things would eventually be one of our most okay leaders in the association. All right. So I did one more bit of reconnaissance work earlier at our community involvement activity. And Bob has a reputation of being a pretty tough guy, drives a Harley and whatnot. But I was told that some of his favorite things to do include drawing a nice warm bubble bath, and playing with his brand new 2 kittens. Yes, so Lady Fuzzywinkles and Admiral Snuggles, they're waiting for you. They can't wait to see you here after tomorrow. All right, that's enough. I'm here to announce to the stage Mr. Bob Carter.
Yeah. We won't even get into the cat thing, but yeah. Thank you very much for that anyhow. Admiral Fuzzywinkles, yes, absolutely. Yeah, and Captain Snugglebutton, yeah. They've made me a more delicate individual. Yeah. I'm changing that whole demeanor of hard nose, so I'm much more sensitive these days. Well, I was lucky enough to get chosen to be up here tonight. I've known Doug for 35 years. And so I don't know if you've all watched the show Life in Pieces. It's a show that airs tonight. And I'm going to talk about little snippets of Doug's life that have been involved with myself. First of all, I want to go back a little bit to, here is our outgoing CEO. And I remember it was about 13 years ago, maybe 12, before you became CEO, our past CEO was gone, and Doug and I are riding in the car together somewhere, and he goes, I looked at him and I said, so Starsky, are you going to apply for the CEO job? And being the humble kind of guy that he is, he goes, Bob, I've never imagined that. I looked at him in the eye and I said, bullshit. I said the old CEO's feet weren't even out the door and you were thinking about being the CEO. So don't, you can't BS a BSer. So, that's the kind of relationship that Doug and I have had. We've been able to call each other out, and that's been great. He is, I'm going to talk about a few things. One is about Doug is very conservative. I don't know if any of you know that. I think he has the first dime that he ever made, and I think he's rubbed it so many times that it's now a washer. And can be used anywhere he would like from a washer standpoint. But, Doug started out his career, and how I became known with Doug was he was the assistant to the assistant to the assistant. Maybe there was one more assistant to the credit manager leader of Region 801. And, it's kind of interesting. I used to be in the marketing side. And I know all those retail people are surprised to hear that, that I actually did try to get loans approved. And Doug, kind of a role reversal here, was in the get loans put on type of role. And, also there was a partner that he had who I think was also the assistant to the assistant to the assistant to the assistant credit manager. And we were able to find in the archives those two boneheads, and you can imagine them shouldn't be making a decision on anything. Look at that. Doug Stark and Bob Campbell, looking like knuckleheads. Anyhow, but I can remember a situation with Doug. It was around Christmas time, and he was in Casper, and I was in Alliance, and we had, I think, a deal that was probably about as good as to be unsecured credit. And, I called Doug, and he had some questions about the credit, and he didn't think it was something we should be doing, and he and I went round and around, which I think either he hung up on me or I hung up on him. But anyhow, then I picked up the phone and called him back, and I said, "So, Starsky, I guess I won't be getting a Christmas card from you this year, will I?" So, but Doug's been very conservative in his credit, but it's really kind of nice to see the role reversal. Then the next snippet that I have is around a hunting trip, and there's a theme here about death. When we went hunting one time, it was Doug and myself, Arnie Altaffer, and Bob Hinn. And we went out to Doug's favorite spot, and he pulls the trailer, and we got the horses and the whole shebang, and we get to camp and set up. And I'm from eastern Colorado, and the biggest game that we have are pheasants. So when we got there, somebody, we're tying up the horses, and Doug said, "Oh crap, somebody had been out there earlier and shot a moose, and they had cleaned it right there." And he goes, "Yeah, it's probably going to bring grizzly in." I'm thinking, oh my God. Once again, pheasants were big game to us. So, I go to bed thinking that this grizzly is going to rip open the trailer, pull me out, and kill me. But no, I got through the night. And but the next morning, about 4:30 or so in the morning, we get up. Doug's all chipper and ready to go, and I'm thinking this sucks. But anyhow, he puts me on this horse named Cowboy. And for those of you that have gone hunting with Doug, you know Cowboy. And so we get on the horses, and I'm the last one in line, and I hear Doug say, "Oh, don't worry, Carter. If there's any bear, they always take the last one in line." And I look behind me, and there's nobody behind me. I am the last one in line. And the thing of it is Cowboy's like one of those horses you go on a dude ranch. He knew exactly where he was going, and I was going to try, okay, I can rein this horse and get him away from bear. No, Cowboy was going to go one way, whether I was on his back or not, dead or alive, he was going. So there's part of the first thing of death. The second thing of death is skiing. I've gone skiing with Doug, and I'm not that good of a skier. But we go to Steamboat or wherever we had gone, and "Oh yeah, Carter, you can do this one. It's an easy black, And so we get up there, and I believe that I was able to look down between my skis and see air. I've never skied down that much slope on my butt in my life, but I did. But thank God for good ski pants. My red ones, by the way, Mark, or my black ones, which he loves, and my blue and gold coat, which Mark loves. So that's another situation of death. The third one, I guess, is around Doug's golf game, which could be death in itself. But he fancies himself as a bad golfer, which he's right. But the issue is that we were in Wyoming one of these times when he was out there, and we went golfing, and we're on a par 3, and I'm in the golf cart to his right, and he proceeds to take this mighty blow, and the ball, he shanked it so bad, and it went straight right, came zipping through my golf cart, just about hit me. And some people would be like, "I'm sorry." He's laying on the ground, laughing his what off, with that laugh, thinking, "Oh God, Carter, I just about hit you, didn't I?" And I said, "Yeah, you did." But the thing that's the best about Doug is, he likes to, lull you to sleep with his crappy golf game. until you start to actually look at betting or there's some money on the line. And then he's like the second coming of Arnold Palmer. It's like right down the middle, and he's going to get in your pocket and take your money. The last thing I would like to talk about is the conservative, as I said about Doug. Doug is very conservative, and his wife is very conservative. Denise, bless her heart. I know, she's a very conservative woman. But you know, Megan and I, my wife Megan and Denise are good friends, and we go out to dinner with the Starks about maybe 3 or 4 times a year. And you know, Doug, if you don't know, maybe makes a little bit more than I do. We'll just go there. So, you know, the big spender, diamond Jack Doug Stark, we go to Azteca. I think $10 item is the most pricey item on the list. And, you know, so the first time we go out, you know, Doug, man, he reaches out, he grabs that bill, and I'm thinking, what a guy. What a guy. I can just see him calculating the tip. Do I give 5%, 10? You know, it's $37 for God's sake. So, but that's not where the conservative part comes. The next time we go out, we go to Azteca again. Once again, Diamond Jack. When the bill comes, I'm thinking, well, you know, Doug, once again, might make $1 or $2 more than I do. But no, he's like that alligator on that commercial. So I finally say, okay, I got it, Doug. I got it, yeah. But you know, I make light of that, but you know, that's the beauty of Doug's and I's relationship is that, you know, outside of work, we are equals. And he's always treated me that way, and I've always treated him that way, and we've had a great relationship. You know, I owe the world to him. He's what got me out here to eastern part of the state. It is. Remember, he used to deny credits too, quite regularly. Anyhow, you know, he got me out here, and you know, I remember coming into Omaha, or Lincoln actually it was, when we had one of those meetings at the Cornhusker Motel, and Doug was in the temporary chief credit officer role, and he hosted us from the Panhandle and Wyoming, and I just remember how, you know, how genuine he was about wanting to help and serve customers, and how, you know, it's like his mom said, it was a 3 to 5 year stint 12 years ago. So it was one of those things, but it made me realize that this is about serving customers. It's not staying in your comfort zone of Little Alliance, Nebraska, where if I was there, I'd probably be a financial officer complaining to an SRT leader about not being able to prove any of my loans. But anyhow, that's you know, it brought me out here, and I thank him for that. He's been a mentor to me. He's been a friend to me. He's been a role model to me, and I owe him a great deal. And I couldn't think of a better friend. Both he and Denise are great friends of ours. But Denise, Doug, before you leave, it's your turn to buy. Can you say 801 Chop House?
Azteca.
Thanks, Doug.
When's my rebuttal?
You can do it now if you want.
So, rebuttal. Bob, conservative? From the guy that makes his wife take groceries back to the grocery store?
I kind of knew that was maybe going to happen.
Yeah.
But that's why I've got Snuggle, Captain, and those. They can make that pain go away.
Yeah. Well, you deserve everything you get, Bob. Yeah, that's a true story. Ask him about it. Yeah. We were a few dollars over the budget, over the home budget. And so groceries went back to the grocery store.
You know, the thing that's interesting, when Denise didn't know that story
Conservative?
for quite a while, and it is a true story. ashamed to say. And my wife is still with me after 40 years. Yeah. Because I have to, Nick. It's bad. But anyhow, when we were out with Denise and Doug reminded Denise of that story, or told that story, and I love Denise. She goes, "Well, that's not so bad."
All right, Azteca it is, Bob. Well, you have to hear the other part of the hunting story. Speaking of stories, I won't go on long here, but long story short, this year that Bob came up with, and this Bob Hinn was a customer of ours as well. Well, talk about death. They were like self-imposing death. It was snowing so hard one evening we were out on a hunt. You could literally see your horse in front of you. And these guys, Bob Hinn and Bob Carter, we heard this elk out in the woods. Let's stay out overnight tonight, and we'll get him first thing in the morning. I said, you'll be so stiff you won't have anything to get him with.
I didn't have a gun. I was going to beat him with a stick.
Yeah, quite the story. So, and skiing, well, we'll talk about that another time. So,
Yeah.
all right. That's
All
I'm
right,
gonna
that was
rebut.
fantastic. Big hand for Bob Carter. Good job, bud. Things escalated really quickly there. That was fantastic. Appreciate the on-point comment from Mr. Campbell out there as well. That was great. All right. Our next roaster needs no introduction.
I get what you mean now. All right. So I'm a little confused, Doug. This morning you said you're not the CEO anymore. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that means you can't fire me, do you? All right?
I suppose that's right.
Oh boy. Oh boy, guys. We all better get another drink. This is going to be a long time before we get this done. I've known Doug for 36 or 7 years, so it's been a long time. So anyway, I've got some of the same common themes that Carter already talked about. So the first one I want to talk about a little bit is the skiing theme. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but as you know, Doug has a place at Steamboat. Doug and Denise have a place at Steamboat, and he's been to Whistler Mountain in Canada and done a lot of skiing. And you saw those elegant slides and turns and all that stuff. And back when Doug and I were skiing together, we followed the common theme of French fry and pizza pie. And for those of you that are skiers, you know what I'm talking about. When you French fry, I'm teaching my granddaughter to French fry right now versus pizza pie. And so you can see here, there's Doug doing his French fry. He's doing it pretty well. But again, I spent a lot of time with Doug, and usually what that turned into was this. So we'd have to go over there and haul him out and get him going out of there. So I've got one story about skiing. I don't know if you know this, but early on in our careers, Doug lived about half a block from me, and which was dangerous. But at the time I was married, he wasn't, which was really dangerous. So anyway, it was snowing one night, and back then we didn't have cell phones and text messages or any of that stuff. And about 6:30 in the morning, I don't know if you remember this or not, but 6:30 in the morning, the phone rings. And so I get up and walk over there, and it's Doug. He says, "Schmitty, the whole town's closed down. The office is closed. Let's go skiing." I'm on the phone, I'm going, "Really? I don't know, Doug. How are we going to get up there? What's going to happen?" I said, "Well, I'll tell you what, Doug. Why don't you come over to the house, and we'll have breakfast, and we'll talk about it." So 30 minutes later, Doug shows up. He's got a ski outfit on, skis in his hand. I looked at my wife and said, "Looks like we're going skiing." So anyway, I'm trying to figure out, he doesn't have a pickup worth a darn to get there, and mine's barely. I had a 1968 GMC Positive Traction pickup. And I was thinking, how am I going to get to this top of this hill? So we jumped in the pickup. Off we went. And got to the top of the hill, and I'm sure Doug's going to attribute it to his coaching and his strategy that he applied, and I would say it was because of the great execution of driving that I did. So, but we get to the top of the hill, and we pull into the parking lot, and the only cars there are the workers, and it is frickin' snowing. And so we get out, and we skied all day long in thigh to waist deep snow, constantly. And I don't know if you're a skier or not, but we had an absolute hoot. And I've done a lot of skiing. I've been skiing for 40-some years. Haven't done all the things Doug has done, but top 3 day for me. And it was really fun to share it with Doug. Top 3 day of skiing for me in 40-some years. So it was really cool to do that.
So what was the other top day?
They weren't with you, Doug.
You'd better hope not.
Does he remember that picture? Okay. Back then, too, we were living in Casper. Doug and I did a lot of fishing. And so we would fish on the Rick would know, on the Platte River outside of Casper. And there was customers by the name of Martins. And they own land adjacent to the river. And I think they're probably still customers. I hope they are. But Doug and I would drive out there in our vehicle, and you'd get access through their ranch, and we'd go down, stand on shore, and we'd fish. And we'd see these nice drift boats go by. And we'd catch a few fish, but, we'd drive back in, and, about the third time we'd go, I said, I said, we really need to get one of them drift boats so we can fish that whole stretch of that river. That'd be really fun. And I said, I can't. I got a wife and little daughter, and he was single, and I said, you need to really look into that. Doug said, yeah, I'll look into that. I'll look into that. So we go a couple, 2-3 weeks later, maybe a little bit longer than that, and Doug says, he sees me in the hallway there at the office. He says, Schmitty, I don't think Doug knew my first name for 10 years. It's not hard to pronounce, and it's easy to spell, And he goes, Schmitty, he says, I bought a boat. I said, good. I said, you know what? I said, my dad's coming out. That's actually my dad in the picture. I said, my dad's coming out this weekend, and let's go fishing. So we do. So we go out there, and I don't remember if Doug pulled up at the house or whatever that, and so that we got this 10, if you can see the bottom of the boat, it's a 10-foot John boat. And I'm going, Doug, we were looking for a drift boat, And so we pull out there, and I'm going, this is a Titanic. That's going to happen. And neither one of them can swim, and I've got to debate, do I save my dad or do I save Doug, Two guys are fishing, one bailing water. And, but anyway, you can see we had a really good day of fishing, and Rick, back in those days, we kept everything that we caught, so. Doug and I did a lot of hunting. Probably 20-some years we spent up in the mountains, and when you do that, you really can bond. And we didn't have when you go into the mountains, when we went in, we didn't have radios, we didn't have any connection. And 9/11 happened, I think, on a Tuesday when we came out on Friday. It's the first time we heard of 9/11. Black Monday, which happened 30 years ago, just here a Monday or two ago. That happened on that Monday, and when we came out on a Friday, Black Monday dipped and already come back up, so we didn't have any of that turmoil. So we just spent time together and had a lot of fun, and shot a lot of elk. And some of the greatest memories of my personal life is up in the mountains and with friends, and specifically with Doug, and having the fun that we did. That morning we shot a bear, and so we were having breakfast and celebrating. And if you've never had whiskey and eggs, you should try it sometime, because it's really good. Doug wanted to add it to the menu every morning. He said, no, Doug, we're not going to do whiskey and eggs every morning, but it was a lot of fun. So Doug we were out hunting. I got a couple hunting pictures, and I got one hunting story, and we'll be good. But when we're out hunting, Doug was always trying to think about what our next strategy is and what we got to do and how are we going to get something. And so he's always kind of scratching his head and trying to figure that out. Hope we didn't do that in ELT very often to figure things out. But as I was looking through the photos and a lot of the photos, I kept looking for a picture. I wanted to share a picture of Doug and his elk that he shot. And I don't have any. And so I got to thinking, you know, Doug, when you start telling, I don't know what you told Denise when we got back from hunting those weeks or what you're telling your kids or what are you going to tell your grandkids, but I got pictures of Arnie Altaffer. I don't know, some of you might know Arnie Altaffer, who shot a bull, and there's a picture of myself, you know, so I had pictures of that, but I didn't have anything of youth for it, so I'm just wondering if, you know, you actually ever shot an elk or not. I'm not sure. So anyway, I'll finish up here. When we were hunting in the mountains, we had a pretty cool strategy. It really was. We had a lot of success, shot a lot of elk. And after a couple times going out there, we figured it out. That's probably why he's CEO, is we figured out that we needed to hunt high and hunt fast. Not the high you're thinking of, but the other high. So that was fun too, but you know. So anyway, we always figured out, we usually hunted in pairs, and if there was 3 of us, we go 2-1, 2 one the other. And we got to know the country really well, and we always figured if we could get above the elk, our success ratio was much, much higher. And we figured that out early on, and we were young, and we were tough, and we could move pretty fast, and I still can. I don't know if you can anymore, but that's what it is. So anyway, Doug and I decided to go that one morning. We were going to go up high on a ridge, way up high on a ridge, and we were going to look down this big old canyon and see if there was something coming in there. And so we decided to do that. And so you're with Doug when you're up elk hunting, and you're always up way before the chickens. And so we're up in the morning. It's pitch dark. We saddle horses. We go up the hill, and we get out as far as we can with horseback, and we scuttle up the ridge, in the dark, trying to get there well before dark so we can wait till light comes up. And I had happened to buy a pair of brand new Leopold binoculars, and and I never told anybody that I had any. You know, we didn't have much money then, and it was a pretty expensive gift or purchase to have. And so I had this new pair of binoculars, Leopold binoculars, and I didn't say anything. And this isn't going to make sense to you, but we'll in a minute. But when you buy binoculars, there's 2 straps. And there's a strap that goes on the binoculars, and there's a strap that goes on the case. And I always wore my binoculars with the strap that went on the case, because that way I always wore a certain vest, and I could rest my binoculars. This is more you want to hear, I imagine, but I could rest my binoculars on the vest so it didn't pull on my neck. But it had a long strap to it. So we scurry up the mountain, and we sit there, and it's cold, and it's pitch dark, and we sit down on this ledge, and we sit literally shoulder to shoulder, right next to each other. And back then we didn't have very warm clothes, and so we sat right next to each other, and we literally were touching shoulders, and we were looking there, and he wasn't hitting on me, and so.
Oh, you know.
So anyway, every now and then we didn't say a word. Every now and then we'd put our glasses up and we'd look and see if we could see anything way down below us or whatever. And I suppose we were probably there 20, 30 minutes easy before some first light started to come. And so we didn't say a word, and the wind was coming up the canyon. It was just perfect. It was cold, but it was just perfect as far as what we're trying to accomplish. And so we're sitting there, and I look, and I say to myself, or it's in a real small or soft voice, I can start counting. I go 1, 2, 3, and I counted all the way to 13. I said, Doug.
Is that a record?
Yeah, no. No, I can go 7 more. So anyway, Doug looks, he puts his glasses up, and he looks, and he says, Shady, I can't see anything. And I go, yeah. I said, look, there's 1, 2, 3. And I said, so then he says, well, where are they? And I started kind of giving him a little bit of description. You know, there's a couple over here and by this timber, and there's a couple over there by that timber. And he can't see them. So what he does is, again, we're sitting next to each other, and I got this long strap. I'm looking at my glasses. He literally grabs the glasses out of my eyes and puts them into his, and he starts looking, and he says, "Schmidt, you son of a bitch." And here I thought he was going to be happy that we had elk in front of us. He was mad I didn't tell him that we had a new pair of binoculars. So the next year, Doug had a new pair of Leopold binoculars. So anyway, we had a lot of fun. And we worked together, but Doug never ever did we cross lines on friendship, and because he's been one of my best friends my entire career. So it's been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Well, Bob, some of what you said was true. I'll let them figure out which parts. But there was the skiing picture. Well, there's a story behind that. You got to know the story. So the story behind skiing is if you're not falling, you're not learning. So that's the motto. I mean, you better be falling, or you're a lightweight, man. So you better get with it. So that's kind of the story on the skiing. So Bob, with respect to all the pictures of the elk,
Where are they?
well, what do you think we were doing? I mean, I was up there to help you get elk. I could have shot all those elk. That's what friends are for, right? No, we had a lot of great times. But I'll tell you, this is all seriousness, and Bob's right. We spent a lot of days, a lot of hours in the mountains. A lot of significant events in our country happened while we were up there. That's no kidding. And we didn't know, because you had no communication up there. When you're back in the wilderness, you're back in the wilderness, and you're in there for a week, you're in there for a week. We didn't talk to our wives or spouses or whatever, and one of our, the 9/11, obviously, everybody knows where they were in 9/11. We were in hunt camp. And we just happened to drive out that Friday, and after the 9/11, and because Bill Bernhard, who was also with us, we had shot an elk, but it was really warm, and he was taking it out to take it down to Dubois, which is about 80 miles away, to put it in a cooler. And he heard this on the radio. So he come in, and we called home, and our wives wanted us home like right then, pack up and get home. So we weren't too much longer for that. But it was, those are the kind of things that happen. But I have to tell one story, and this is a real true story from the standpoint of the hunting experiences I've had with Bob, and Bob for that matter. But when you're in the mountains like that, and you spend that much time with one another, you really get to know people well. And I've hunted with a lot of people over the years, and if you don't match from a value standpoint, it just kind of happens. You figure it out. You don't have to talk about values, you don't have to share values, but you just figure it out. And I can tell you, Bob Schmidt, for one, epitomized the values that we hold near and dear in this company. Excuse me. And I won't give you the specifics, but Bob knows what I'm talking about. Bob encountered a very tough situation that he had to make a decision around values, and I'll just suffice it to say he made the right decision. And I'll never forget him for that, and I value him deeply because he made the decision that involved around integrity and personal integrity, and that was a pretty phenomenal act of values from that standpoint. So with that, Bob, it has been a lot of fun.
It has been. Thank you.
Great job, Bob. All right, our last roaster of the evening is Craig Kinnison, and I did a similar reconnaissance mission. What I did is I went to your peers and some of the people that report directly to you, and really I asked them to, really in a nutshell, describe you as a leader, and here's some of the comments I got. He's adequate. Okay. He's not the worst leader I've ever seen, so we're getting a little better. Even though he likes the Yankees, he seems like he has a soul, question mark, question mark. And the last one, though, best for last. He's the best CFO we've had in this association in the last 5 years. Please welcome to the stage Mr. Craig Kinnison.
All right, thank you, Todd. Wow, Bob and Bob, nice job. How about a hand? Bob and Bob one more time. how many of you found yourself channel surfing late at night, and the next thing you know, a movie comes on and you've wasted 20 minutes of your life? I'm kind of having a deja vu of when that happened for me with Dumb and Dumber. No, I'm joking. No.
Rebuttal?
That John Denver.
Not really,
Rebuttal?
guys. Not really. You guys are very talented, awesome dudes. You're gonna go far. You're gonna go far. And I hope you stay there. I hope you stay there.
I'm liking this a lot.
So it's certainly an honor and a privilege to be here today. I jumped at the opportunity to pay tribute to Doug. I only had one condition: no cats. No cats. Is this on? You get it. You get it. All right. But today's about Doug. Doug, this is a roast, and the last thing I want to do is hurt you, but it is on the list. So what can I say about Doug that he hasn't already said about himself? You know what, before we go too far here, could somebody go into TalentWorks and make sure my leader designation has been changed? Is Katie Mullen here? Katie, could you do that for me? Okay, thank you. Okay, we're good. All right. Speaking of my new leader, Mr. Mark Jensen. Let's hear it for Mark. Where is Mark? Where is Mark? Hey, Mark. Really happy for Mark. Got total confidence in him. He's going to do a great job. But let me tell you, the transition's been a little tough on me. I'm using suck-up muscles I didn't know I had.
You need a cat.
So Doug, I'll never forget the first time we met, but I will keep trying. We actually met in Kansas City. Do you remember? Yeah. Doug and I were on the first. It was like 2005. We were on the same Farm Credit System work group for the Horizons project. That was another great example of a great system collaboration. Actually, I met Doug's mustache first because it entered the room about 30 seconds before his face. Holy smokes. You guys have seen that, right? The mustache? He was like the Wyoming version of Gene Shalit. You guys got that reference? I like that. So ELT discusses those strategic issues that impact the organizations. Doug likes to think of himself as a big thinker. He calls it dreaming and scheming. Just dreaming and scheming. So oftentimes, Doug would come up with a big idea, and it was always a struggle for me because I didn't always agree with his logic, or lack of. But I knew I needed to embrace that team principle. Focus on the situation, not the person. So what I always wanted to say, but didn't, when one of these ideas surfaced, I don't know what makes your ideas stupid, Doug, but it really works. Or I could agree with you, Doug, but then both of us would be wrong. Or you're not dumb, Doug. You just don't have very good luck when you think. I did not say those things because I'm a team player. Remember that, Jensen. Remember that, Jensen. But sometimes those ideas would find their way into our one-on-ones, or snapshots, or check-ins, or whatever Ann's going to call them in the future. Inevitably, both of us would end up getting frustrated. I'd end up jumping up, storming out of the room, saying, Doug, I don't have the time or the crayons to explain this to you. Too far. Am I crossing some lines here? Lynette? Here we go. Am I okay? Okay. So the executive leadership team has had the privilege of spending every Monday morning with Doug for the last decade. Over the years, he's brought a lot of joy to that group, especially when he left the room. So like many of you, I was shocked this past February when Doug announced his impending retirement, that he wanted to step down. It took me a good 30 seconds to get over it. But when I did, I knew I had to get him a great gift because he's been just a really important person in my life. So I thought, and then one day it dawned on me. I had a great idea. Something Doug has always wanted, probably because Bob Engel had one. I even got one in his favorite color, camouflage. So Doug, direct from McLean, Virginia, your very own Farm Credit Bank charter. So you also, Doug mentioned the marathon. We've gotten to know each other personally. I've never heard of hunting trips, fishing trips, skiing trips, dinners with our wives. None of that happened, but we did. But we did decide it would be fun to run the Las Vegas Marathon a few years ago. We trained individually. We didn't train together, but we would trade texts quite often just to see how each of us were doing. Anyway, we both finished the race. But it didn't go so well. I haven't signed up for a race since, and Doug ended up in the medical tent. Remember that? He did. Took him like an hour to get his cowboy boots off.
With shorts, imagine that picture.
Oh, boy, no, that's not.
No rebuttals yet. We also got some windshield time together over the years. One time we were in Iowa, we had a little extra time, so Doug walks in the barber, and he says, "I want a haircut," and the barber said, "Which one?" No, but really, one of the advantages for Doug has been that you can always see what's on his mind. I wrote this stuff down. I didn't want to forget it, but I did hear, just in between break there, he was talking to Denise. It was kind of cute. He said, "Denise, in your wildest dreams, did you ever imagine, that all this would happen? I'd be the CEO, and all these people would come out and honor me and praise me." And she said, "Doug, you're not in my wildest dreams."
Rebuttal.
But seriously, Doug, it's been a blast working for you. I can't imagine a better working relationship between a CFO and a CEO. I once read that you work for about 15 people. The average person works for about 15 people in their lifetime. And they would only work for 2 or 3 willingly, again, but I'd work for you.
Thank you.
Your ego, lack of ego. Your focus on continued development, your integrity, and your willingness to listen and engage have been an inspiration to me in my leadership and has driven us to great success. So, as you trade in your farm credit acronyms, like PCA, FLCA, PPC, FCA, we could go on and on, for retiree acronyms like IRA, CD, AARP. I hope you realize that you not only made a difference, you made a huge difference. So Godspeed to you and Denise, my friend.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I don't have enough material to counter that. I think everybody's getting hungry and thirsty, so let's party.
All right, let's give one more round of applause for all of our roasters. They did a great job. We've got one more piece here. We're gonna transition to something a little lighter. We're gonna go from roasting to toasting. So I need you to stay right here, bud. So we got 2 more people coming up. Sure. It is my pleasure at this time to introduce Ann Finkner.
of things I can't forget. Journeys on a jet, our wondrous week in Martinique.
So before I get started, some of the activities you've heard people participate with Doug. One of the first times I remember doing meetings out in Casper, Wyoming, we had to present some new credit items. And Doug said, you know what, let's all go out and have a good time afterwards. And so we didn't go skiing, we didn't go hunting, we didn't go fishing. We went and sang karaoke. and I remember we were having a great time, a lot of the staff was there, and all of a sudden Doug said, my wife just called, I think it's time for me to go home. I just remember that, and later I got to meet Denise, and so the first memory of Denise was when we were doing karaoke. But what I would like to do is actually toast you instead of roast you. But before we do, let's first say thanks to Denise for your support of Doug during his tenure as our president and CEO. The support of our families allows us to do what each of us do every day. So thank you as well for opening your home to us, for the various activities that you've hosted. You've been a rock for Doug, and we know that, and we are very grateful. So let's raise a glass to Denise. And to you, Doug. We have many things to thank you for. So let's start with a few. First, we want to thank Doug for accepting the opportunity to be the interim chief credit officer and then moving from Wyoming to Nebraska to be part of the executive team back in the late 90s. You know, that was only going to be a short stint.
Yeah.
We want to thank you for applying for and being selected for the CEO position so that we have this opportunity to celebrate you as our CEO over the past few years. We want to thank you for taking us from being an outcast in the system to providing leadership for the system. We want to thank you for greatly improving our financial position with a focus on customers and operational excellence. We want to thank Doug for championing our culture and what it means to work here at our associations. We thank you for your emphasis on personal and professional development so that we are better teammates and people for having worked at our associations. We want to thank you for taking the time to facilitate classes that were offered to our teammates, with many of them saying it was the first time they had ever had a CEO do such a thing for them. We want to thank you for introducing us to rapport and the experience in the desert. Maybe, right? We want to thank you for the many times that we've all had different serious conversations with you where we had to make tough decisions, and also for the times we had great fun and great laughs. We want to thank you for the personal notes and the unexpected acknowledgments that you've given us and encouraged the heart. We want to thank you for being an inspiration as you demonstrated integrity, humility, and a vision for the future. On behalf of all of us leaders of our association, we are grateful for have served with you during your 10 years as our president and CEO. Again, we say thank you for the opportunity. We are fortunate to have worked with you and experienced your leadership. Thanks for everything you've done for our associations, our customers, and the farm credit system. You have truly made a difference. As you move into the next phase of your life journey, follow your dreams and enjoy the adventure. On behalf of the directors and team members of our associations, best wishes, and may you truly experience joy and fulfillment beyond your expectations. A toast to Doug. Cheers. And now, please join me in welcoming our final toast, our new CEO, Mark Jensen.
Well, all right. Lynette told me this last toast to keep this short, maybe about 30 seconds. Well, that's not going to happen. In fact, Lynette, if you have a whiteboard, if you could bring that up. Got a few things I'd like to draw. Thanks, Doug. And one thing, Craig, I was thinking, after, how many years of Craig reporting to you, and that's how you get treated? I'd suggest you keep sucking up, buddy. No, but, back to Doug here. Doug, I'm just going to start off, and I am going to keep this fairly short. But, first of all, I think we all can say thank you for the leadership. The results are one thing, and those are obvious. The list was long, but it's all of your actions, your behaviors, and everything you did for this organization, for all of us, that made all the difference. So, as you always say, it's the behaviors that really cause the results, not the results themselves. And that's obvious. And the other thing, just for me personally, is thank you so much just for your leadership, your coaching, your mentoring. You've taken risks on me more than once, and I appreciate that so much. And most of all, your friendship. So it just means everything. But I wouldn't be a good friend if I didn't take this opportunity to give Doug. We've all heard Doug say, gifts are a real privilege, right? So, I wouldn't be a real friend if I didn't give you some gifts, and actually, I'm not going to roast you. I did, though, think about, legacies, lasting impressions, and, that's important to any leader when they've, been so dedicated to anything for such a long time like you have. So I did do some asking around what might be some of the things that people would think most of in terms of, lasting impressions of you and your legacy. So I did a scientific poll. All right, I talked about 5 people, but... But here were the themes that came up, and I think it's encompassing. First of all, your passion, your energy. And in fact, one of the people described you as a Energizer bunny that had just drank a case of Red Bull. Like, that's a compliment. The second thing is Doug, you're real. And everything you do, it's genuine. And the third thing was you cared about people. And I tell you what, if any of us could end one chapter in our career like you are, known for passion, being real, and really caring about people, I think any of us would take that, and that encompasses you. So, hey, everybody raise a glass to, Doug, his passion for being real and caring about people. It means the world of us, and best of luck.
Yeah, thank you.
You're here.
Yeah, thank you. Let's party.
Want to say a last word?
No, let's party.
Sorry, are you going to wrap it up?
All right, really quickly, a few details about this evening. So we're going to have lots of different things going on. We've got a musician, a magician, no clowns, a beanbag toss, and more importantly, some more drinks, some more food, some more hors d'oeuvres coming out, and a chance to chat with this man right over here, Mr. Doug Stark. He'll be making his way around. So have fun, have a great time, and one last round of applause for Doug.